Sunday night is here with us once again. Scorecard is back on your screens on Citi TV. My name is Benjamin Nketia. Really good sporting weekend. The World Athletics Championships happening. Team USA and Team Jamaica going at it in all of the events. We'll be bringing you a taste of that. Mohammed Kudus is a West Ham United player. He is officially a hammer. We'll be getting into that as well. And on the local scene, Mediama Sporting Club and Dreams FC have both progressed to the next round of their various CAF competitions. We'll be getting into that as well. And then when you get to the Premier League proper, what a day it was for Liverpool Football Club. Comeback win, huge one at that. Darwin Nunez at the center of that particular storm. United themselves had a little scare, but managed to do their own comeback. A lot to chew on the show. Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, I'll introduce my gentlemen, and then we'll get talking. Welcome back. This is Scorecard on Citi TV. My good friends are here. Coach Christopher Nimley and Edwin Kwakofi. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure.
Nice one. Let's start off on a Ghana note, and this is a big one as far as Premier League football is concerned. Mohammed Kudus has completed his move to West Ham United. We thought it would be Brighton. We thought it would be Chelsea. Arsenal at a point. West Ham have come through with the big money. 45 million plus add-ons. That's a lot of money for a club like West Ham to be spending on a player. His numbers will be on your screen, so you can check out what Kudus was doing while he was at Ajax. 87 matches played, 27 goals, 12 assists, and he was injured in a good chunk of it. So these are really, really great numbers. He scored a hat-trick in his final game in the European, I believe it was the Champions League qualifier. Yes, in the Champions against Ludo Gretz before he left. Coach, let me start with you. You have made it clear that Kudus working under David Moyes is something that does not excite you. Is there any part of this move that actually excites you where you could say that something positive could come out of a move to West Ham, even though Moyes is the one leading or about to lead Kudus?
You see, I can only hope. I can only hope that David Moyes will, for once, adjust his perception or how he looks at players who are technically gifted. If you look at his days at Everton, his days at Manchester United, this is a coach who was handed a championship team. When Alex Ferguson exited Man United, Alex Ferguson more or less gave him a team that had just won the league. And Alex Ferguson and David Gill at the time had already wrapped up the move for Toni Kroos and Thiago Alcantara. David Moyes took over the job and said no. He doesn't like Alcantara. He doesn't fancy Toni Kroos. And then he rather used the money to buy Marouane Fellaini. We
Brought
all
in
know
Tom Cleverley.
And then believing that Tom Cleverley at the time could do the
was
thing
on the
that
level of Thiago.
Shocking. Even in his current West Ham team, those very technical players have always been found wanting. Now, if you look at Paquetá, the Brazilian who plays in that number 10 role, he's not been allowed to express himself very freely.
True.
He's been given strict instructions, and about 80% of his game is to restrict him and get him to play for the team in the defensive network. It is when West Ham go route one to Antonio, and the ball is somehow gets to Antonio, he holds it up, blocks off, and then he gets Paquetá involved. I look at that way of playing, and I look at the player we have in Mohammed Kudus. Look, I regret not having Kudus in my coach team. In fact, today I'm going to tell you a story. He would have played for my team. I'm not going to put my team out there because of personal reasons. But just at the time that I was doing the recruitment that year, he'd gone past the first stage, the second stage, but just before the final stage, I had to travel to go and do my master's. So I left my people in charge. And some few years back, when I came back, I said, but this boy, he came, look, his technical ability, his footballing talent has never been in doubt. Take it or leave it. He's the most precious thing we have currently.
Yeah.
You want to mention Thomas Partey.
Yeah.
Maybe age-wise.
Yeah. Partey has hit his peak.
Exactly. Kudus is the future of the Black Stars. So I want to see him go somewhere where he will flourish, because as a country we can only benefit when Kudus is playing regular, when he's doing his thing, he's building his confidence, getting involved in big games, running the show. Then as a country, the Black Stars of Ghana can only benefit. Like I said, I will hope he succeeds. But look, I'm not going to hide my feelings. I'm not happy he's going to play for David Moyes. And I maintain that David Moyes is not the one doing this signing.
Yeah.
It is the newly appointed sporting director who has pushed through this move. And it's like he's in charge
of recruitment.
Yeah. So whether David Moyes likes it or not,
we are bringing you Kudus.
We are bringing him Mohammed Kudus. I can only hope that those in and around the young man will tell him that go steady the coach. Although the sporting director has brought you on board, Moyes could make or
unmake
you.
Yep.
If Moyes puts you in there and you don't play according to instruction and he puts you on the bench, whoever comes in there, once the team starts winning,
they'll forget about
nobody's going to remember that there's Kudus on the bench, because at the end of the day, it's about West Ham.
Yeah.
That if he benches Kudus and West Ham does not put some proper winning run on board, the Moyes gets the sack. But I'm not hoping for any of that. I'm just hoping that Kudus himself as a player will have to adjust his ability to play for the team. You see, you have to play for the team. And within your ability of playing for the team, that is where now, when the opportunity presents itself, you show how good you are as a player. Paqueta is doing it. He's West Ham's most important player, because he brings the likes of Joe Bowen, Antonio
into the game,
and Berama. Is it Berama?
Yeah.
All of them, they all begin to play very well when Paqueta is playing extremely very, very well. Kudus is going to be in the direct competition with Paqueta.
Yeah. Similar game styles, both lefties.
Both left foot, they are both expected to do the same thing. I'm not sure he's going to bench Joe Bowen. There's only one Mikel Antonio in that team. Nobody plays ahead of him. Kudus is naturally not a blistering winger.
Yeah.
He needs to be in the middle of the park where he can influence the game with his technical ability. And that is where Paqueta finds himself. I am thinking that West Ham are being smart here because of the betting scandal surrounding Paqueta. So if Paqueta gets the ban, which is looking increasingly likely that he'll get the ban. If he gets the ban, Kudus slots in. My prayer is that he should take the bull by the horn,
make the place his
grab
own.
the position, make the place his own, and maybe if Man City think they can come and pay 90, 80 million for Paqueta next transfer window, he goes and Kudus cements the position. I really do want him to succeed. I pray he succeed, because it is only when he succeeds that is where the Black Stars and Ghanaians seek to benefit.
I'll come to Edwin in a bit. Let's get to the interview from Mohammed Kudus himself, speaking about making the jump from the Dutch Eredivisie to the English Premier League and what it means to play for West Ham Football Club. Check it out. Mohammed Kudus, the showboat sometimes. He says that he's here to entertain the fans.
Just before Edwin comes, entertain the fan, yes.
Yeah.
But under David Moyes,
I wonder how much entertainment to be happening.
How much entertainment he's going to give to the fans. But look, like I said, he's a smart boy. He's a clever boy. Very intelligent young man. He will admit to the fact that it's a completely different environment. The IAS's way of doing things completely different from that of West Ham. I can only hope that once he gets in there, I think he's been given my famous number. I've always loved George Weah as a player, and George Weah's famous number is that of number 14. So it's a sign that he's going to succeed.
Mohammed Kudus. Edwin, I mean, what do you like about this move? What don't you like about this move?
Look, I get coach's reservations about him playing under David Moyes. He's not the most dynamic manager. He's not a manager that you would say, oh, I want my young players to play under. But I feel that going to Brighton, a club that a lot of people expect much of, will just put him under a huge spotlight that I don't think he can afford right now. It takes a while to get acclimatized to the Premier League. And we know Kudus' talent. But even the most talented players have struggled to play their best in the Premier League once they step in. And I feel that putting him in a club where a lot of people don't expect much of. They don't expect top 4 challenge. They don't expect maybe Brighton are a team that people are expecting to hit the heights. West Ham, not that much.
Yeah.
So if he's at a club with a lower profile, where he can just become a star, become the main man of the club eventually, I feel this is a good enough move for him. And you listen to that interview, this is a player who is very confident. He knows his ability. He knows what he can do. And entertaining the club is not the worst thing you can say. He knows what kind of football, kind of football he plays. It's just that entertaining must come with the results. And once you start putting in the performances, getting the results, the fans are happy, the manager is happy. It turns out to be a very good move, and everyone is happy.
Let me tell you a story about Kudus before we go into the highlights. So a lot of people know that he came through the Right to Dream Academy system, right? He's not one of those who came from the childhood stage. He went there when he was almost ready to just about break out into like a mainstream player.
He's gone through the proper
code system. And then he went. So what happened is that Right to Dream played a justifier against Kudus' Colts team.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any plans of bringing him to the academy. Yeah. They wanted to see the Colts team, but more like they wanted to prepare their own players for a tournament they were going to play abroad. And then they stepped onto the pitch, and this guy from the Colts team that nobody was talking about, he just lit up the whole game. Like, he was scoring, he was assisting, he was shooting from distance. The Right to Dream people tell me that the coaches were just speechless. Everybody was just looking at each other.
Yeah.
After the game, they said, we need to bring this guy to this academy. Like, there's no way this guy goes away from this academy without being one of us. Like, that's literally how it happened. He took them completely to
And I just told you the story, isn't it? He grew up around Newtown, thereabout.
Yep.
So he came to my team for a justifier. And look, at the very first time I saw him, I selected him. We went for the second round of selection. I picked him. Then I left on the Sunday, and that justifier would have been completed on the Wednesday, but I had to leave. And then when I got to wherever I had to go, when I called my people, I hope you kept that young, because at the time I think he was around
15-ish, 15, 14?
No, he was not even 14 years. He was around
13, 12.
Let's say between 10 and 12.
10, 12.
That was how old he was at the time.
Wow.
And for me, I followed him. I've known him since. Yeah. And when he sees me, he said, Coach, if you were to be around right now, I would have been.
Things have completely changed.
I love him.
Mohammed Kudus,
I love him as a player.
Mohammed Kudus already looks like he has stardom written all over him. Let's get to some local action that happened this weekend. Mediama Sporting Club, they were in action against Remo Stars all the way in Nigeria. They managed to get a penalty victory. Dreams FC also managing to see out their game 2-1. Let me just take snap thoughts from you guys and then we can go, Edwin.
Look, not the most convincing ways to qualify, but I feel both sides will be happy. As long as we have two teams progressing in the tournament, I think Ghanaians should be happy. We didn't give Mediama too much of an opportunity going to Nigeria, hoping they would get a result. Even though they lost, they still had that mental fortitude to go through the penalty shootout, which Ghanaian teams are not particularly good at in the big moments. But they held their nerve, got the penalty result, and are through to the next round. At this stage, you face the easier sides. It's the next few rounds that will determine how good you are. And you expect that having got through this first round, having got some confidence from beating a team that was more fancy than you, you'd expect Mediama's players to take it as a good result, move into the next round, and possibly build their confidence from that. Confidence is a lot when it comes to playing football, and once you've got that first result under your belt, you feel that you can beat anyone, and we hope that they take this mindset into the next game, where certainly tougher teams will come. For Dreams FC, it was nice to see them come from a goal down. It's something that we've struggled to do. Once we go down by a goal to nil, we struggle to come back because our teams fall apart. The players lose their nerves and then they start conceding. But this time, they held their nerves, came back and qualified. So I'm happy our two teams have made it. We've not had that in a very long time. We have to celebrate, but not too much because there's still a lot of work to do. We want to get to the group stages, the money stages.
Yeah.
That is where we prove our mettle. That is where we improve our coefficient ratings. That's where we can get more teams, more of our teams into these competitions so that we show that we are actually one of the best footballing nations in Ghana. We have not shown that in a while, and this is a good opportunity to do so.
Coach, just snap thoughts on those two teams making progress to the next round.
I'm extremely happy. In the case of Midiama, we did a program on Sports Panorama. I didn't give them any chance of qualifying. I told myself that because of the way football is being run in this country, our two teams are not prepared. They are not preparing properly. As a coach, I would never be happy if my teams were to go and compete in such an important competition and they go through the sort of preparation that they are going through to enable them go and play. I would just not be happy. So looking at that, I actually thought that, look, it will be very, very difficult for them to survive in Nigeria. And I listened to the commentary. I've not watched the game. There was a disallowed goal in the 89th minute.
Yeah.
The Nigerians scored in the 89th minute. That would have made it 2-0. And I was like, oh my goodness, not again. And when I heard the commentator shouting, the linesman has flagged for an offside, I said, mentally, psychologically, that is a breakthrough. And I wasn't surprised at all. In fact, the goalkeeper of Midiama, he made 3 saves in the penalty shootout.
That's massive.
3 saves.
That's massive.
And for me, that was completely super stuff on the part of the young man. In the case of Dreams FC, I agreed exactly with everything that Edwin said. Look, they came from a goal down.
Yeah.
And they didn't drop their heads when the going was stopped because I think about a 70-something minute, I've forgotten, they were still trailing. But they kept playing. Karim Zito, he tweaked and tweaked the tactics. He did all sort of stuff just to influence the game. And the moment they got that equalizing goal, you could feel it, that they would go on and win it. And look, whoever advised them to get Kwame entry, that person have done very, very well because you could feel his presence. As somebody who has experienced these sort of games before. He's been there before. He's played in the Champions League before. Very experienced young, guy. And if you look at the manner in which he took that second goal, from a direct corner kick, bang, into the back of the net, you need people like that to step up. But again, Nketia, I can only hope.
Yeah,
we
we can make it to the group stage.
To the group stage. But look, truth be told, I don't think we'll make it to the group stage. Because we've sat in this studio, or we sat here, and we've looked at the standard of the African Champions League. To get to that group stage, you need to play far better. Our teams have qualified. I'm happy.
It's about to get hotter.
It's going to get even. Last season, was it last season or Tuesday, when Asafok won, Hearts didn't lose any game here. Hearts won all their games here in Accra. But the moment the North Africans start showing themselves, that will be the end of the party.
We'll see if Dreams FC and Midiama Sporting Club can navigate these really tough assignments. Let's move on to the foreign front now, and let's start off with Chelsea Football Club. They have gone eternity. The last time they scored 3 unanswered goals in a game. They managed to get 3 goals, 3 points, clean sheet against Luton Town. And then Arsenal Football Club had started the season on a perfect note. Well, that was all about to change when they hosted Fulham Football Club in a London derby. So back-to-back highlights, Chelsea, Luton Town, Arsenal, Fulham. Check it out. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let me read a few of your messages before we move it on. This one here is from Kweku from La Paz. He says, West Ham have also purchased Ward-Prowse from Southampton, so there's competition in the midfield, you say. This one here says, hi, Citi TV. King, you're not telling us where you are texting from. He says, let the world know Bellingham is better than every youngster in the game. This one here is from Swagger from Techiman. It also says, in Jude Bellingham we trust. What a player. He has no competitor. Looks like Bellingham has fans up there. This one here is from Manaman Says So from Doma Hinkro. He says, Ben and Pandas, good evening. Well, fought 3 points for United players yesterday, but they need to improve their performance if we really want to compete. So Manaman is a United fan there. And then this one says, it's from Adrian from Sakomono. There's Liverpool won their 42nd game with a 90th minute winner in the Premier League, more than any other side in the competition's history. I thought Klopp was spot on with the subs today. I hope Kudus proves Moyes wrong. I don't want to see the Scotsman treat him like Maxwell Cornet. So a lot of people are worried about what David Moyes will do with Kudus. Hopefully it's great. Let's start off with that Chelsea game. 3 points, 3 goals, clean sheet. Some say it was just Luton Town, but you beat what's in front of you.
Exactly.
It was a quality performance. 2 things stuck out for me. Raheem Sterling, 2 goals and an assist. So he was involved in everything Chelsea did on the day. And then Malo Gusto at right back, putting in a really solid performance in the absence of Reece James. Just your thoughts on that Chelsea performance and then what Sterling offers this team going forward.
I think that's more like it. This is the Chelsea of old. A bit more reminiscence of what, I mean, we've gotten ourselves used to when it comes to Chelsea at the bridge. For Raheem Sterling, I think this was by far his best game in a Chelsea shirt. He wanted the ball. He wanted the ball, not to pass it back to people. He said, give me the ball. He took players on. Look at that first goal. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
There was no space. He created the
And ironically, he played on the right side in this game.
Exactly. No, but when he started his footballing career, during his Liverpool days, he was playing on the right side of the attack. So he just reminded everybody how explosive a player he could be. I just hope that this will get him to build in confidence. And then, because now this Chelsea team is set, I still maintain Raheem Sterling will not score 20 plus goals. I still do maintain they need a proper number 9.
Yeah.
And I'm happy when you listen to Mauricio Pochettino. He tends to admit to that. He tends not to. William Jackson will not score 20 plus goals. If you watch the game, the only time he finds himself in the proper striker's position, he was planting the ball in the back of the net. So if Mauricio Pochettino can get Chelsea to play in the way that will not allow Jackson to drop too deep, even in the highlights.
Yeah.
We saw where he came all the way to the center line just to pick
circle.
up the ball in 10. No, you cannot expect your main man, your goal-getter, the one you are, who is expected to bang in the goals, to be dropping that deep to affect the play. No, that cannot be allowed to happen. I think the Chelsea setup now with the inclusion of Moise Caicedo and then Enzo Fernandez. Look, I think this boy now is relishing the challenge. Gallagher.
Yeah. To be honest, I've always liked him. I mean, I feel like people who see him and judge him for things he doesn't have.
You see, I've liked him for his energy. And I would have more or less be using him in games where we'll be doing a bit more chasing of the ball. But if Latvia starts playing, I think he will take the position of him, because Latvia will take care of the ball better. He will see those crucial, pinpointed passes that can split defenders. And with the assurance of Moise Caicedo behind them, I think they are on to do wonderful things. Chelsea, major concern to me is whatever is happening to Reece James. I have said that if Reece James can stay fit, I think they will challenge, not for the league. I repeat, not for the league, because they need a proper number 9 to challenge for the league. But they will challenge for top 4.
Okay.
This team finished 12th last season. So if they can get themselves back into the top 4, it will be a massive achievement for Mauricio Pochettino in his very first season. Just as it was for Erik ten Hag, the Manchester United manager. It was Luton Town, though. They needed to impose themselves, which they did. They just would not allow Luton Town to operate in the middle of the park. Enzo Fernandez, Gallagher, Caicedo, they were all over these guys trying to make sure that, look, you've come to the bridge and you are not allowed to misbehave. I was very impressed with the performance, the manner in which they play, and the sustained tempo, pace, intensity with which they played. It tells me one thing, that they are very fit. In this very early part of the season, this Chelsea team is very, but the fact that they are very soon, they'll be playing their games after 7 days. They'll be resting for 7 days. They play Saturday, they'll play the next Saturday. When the European competition starts, the Manchester United, the Liverpool, the Man City, the Newcastle, all those guys will be involved in midweek games. So a time will come in this season when you're going to play Chelsea. One thing that you wouldn't or you shouldn't compromise on as a manager is to refreshing your team, because they will have enough energy to bend, run at you, and play the game at a certain tempo. Raheem Sterling, he needs to continue in this manner. And it's up to Mauricio Pochettino to get him to believe in his own ability. Because for somebody who played for Liverpool, who won the league, how many times? Four times at Manchester City, he has the experience. He knows what it takes to drive this Chelsea team forward. And look, it was an absolutely convincing performance. I think they should have even scored more goals.
Yeah. Edwin, quick thoughts. Just one more thought on Chelsea. Moises Caicedo looks like he might be literally carrying 110 million on his head from the way he's played, because I don't know, he seems a little off. It seems like he's under pressure. Just touch on that for me. And then Arsenal slip against Fulham. Arteta has a harvest problem on his hand. I watched them again against Fulham, and really, they don't seem like they know what they are doing with Kai Havertz.
Look, with the Chelsea bit, I feel that Caicedo's lack of confidence in the first game against West Ham, where he caused the penalty, in the second game, the first few minutes of the second game against Luton, you could see it. The price tag was weighing on him, but I think he grew into the game. Once he started playing with a lot more with Enzo Fernandez, with Gallagher, he knew that he had players who could match his ability in terms of passing, the one-touch passing. We saw that in the highlights where he was just moving the ball around. And I feel a lot of people are going to say, wow, for 150 million, you'd expect a lot more from him in terms of goals, in terms of assists.
But a second. From where he plays, he's not a Casemiro. He will do his own thing.
Exactly. Exactly. What he brings is an assuredness in that position he plays. He's not going to get you the goals. He's not going to get you the assists. But he's a specialist in that area. He brings calmness in that Chelsea midfield. The passing ability is there. He's able to break down opposition play and then transition. That's the most important thing. Transition from forward to attack, from defense to attack. So we saw him involved in Chelsea's first goal with Sterling, the quick passing to Malo Gusto, who found Sterling for him to run through. And then he was also involved in the second goal for Sterling as well, quickly moving the ball on. That is what Chelsea have been missing. A player who just moves the ball on quickly, doesn't hang on it for too long, doesn't just dwell on it for other players to, for the opposing team to get into their positions and then defend. If you move the ball on quickly, you find that players are out of position. You can take advantage of them more and score more goals. I think he's fit into that Chelsea team very well, and it will show more going forward. For Arsenal, yes, they've struggled a lot in this game against Fulham. We saw from that first goal, a lot has been made of Mikel Arteta's decision to play Partey at right back, and we could see what would happen if that's the case. Coach has mentioned a lot about that inverted fullback
sort of thing,
and the fact that you don't just rush into the midfield when you are inverted fullback. We saw Partey do that in that move where Saka
gave the ball away.
Partey just rushed into midfield when Arsenal had possession in their own half, where Fulham's players were all around them in that defense. So there was no reason for him to rush into the midfield. If he had been in his regular position, Saka's ball comes straight to him. Without him being in midfield, Saka's ball just bypassed everyone and led to Fulham getting the goal. Fortunately for them, they were able to recover, got a couple of goals in there, but a lack of concentration on that set piece allowed Fulham to come back into it. And I don't think they can afford these drops of points, especially at home, when you are facing up against Man City, who are on a winning streak right now. They haven't lost a single game this season. You have more competitors from Manchester United, from Brighton,
Liverpool.
Newcastle, Liverpool, Chelsea, even Tottenham Hotspur. So you can't afford to be dropping points this early, and especially at home. So I think Arteta has a lot to do. There are players who haven't fit into that system just yet, and he needs to work on them. Maybe it's time to give Havertz a little time on the bench or stick him up front, because where he's playing in midfield, I think it's hurting the team rather than helping them.
Coach.
Yeah, I think it's Mikel Arteta's fault. But how do you take your best player in the middle of the park
And stick him on the right.
and then use him for an experiment?
He's
How do you do
he's
that?
making room for the 100 million guy.
No, but how do you do that? Even if you are making room for Kai Havertz, it should not come at the expense of your best midfielder, the one who controls the tempo of your game, the one who, when he plays, since he's been in that team, anytime Thomas Partey is on his A game, that is where we see the best of us now.
Yep.
So if you want to experiment, you don't use him to do any form of experiment. Keep him in his position. That is what he's noted for. And get another person to experiment. Like you rightly said, look, the bottom line is that you don't tell the owners to go and pay £65 million for
a
Kai
player.
Havertz and not know
What to do with him?
what to do with him.
Yep.
So in being very stubborn or in trying to prove that he was very justified in getting Edu and the owners to go and splash £65 million for Kai Havertz, he's been forced to play
play
the
him.
ball in that position. Because last season,
Yep.
Arsenal did so well with Partey, Xhaka, and Odegaard. If you watch him play again, he's not only pull Partey out of position and get him to come in there when the time is right, which Partey again didn't get right,
Yep.
so caused them the first goal. Kai Havertz is continually in the path of Odegaard. Watch them. Maybe most people will not
Running
see
into the same space.
run into the same spaces, anticipating in the same way, receiving the pass. Because if Odegaard is in the middle there and he's receiving the pass, we saw, there was some highlight I saw online where 3 of beautiful passes given to Kai Havertz. He had enough time to turn and go. He attempted giving the ball back to Declan Rice, misplaced the pass, and Declan Rice would tell him that if that was Odegaard, he's turned and he's gone. Creating spaces for Nketiah and go to finish. I mean, I hate coaches who tend to fix it when it is actually not broken. Mikel Arteta, look, the Arsenal faithful, they have swallowed the pain of bottling the league last season.
Yep.
They will not swallow a second pain. This project now
Because they have bought him the players he wanted.
has been in operation for 4 years. Even Ten Hag,
Yep.
who is in the second year of the job,
The spotlight is brighter on him
right
now.
on him. Come on. And for Mikel Arteta, he's spent good money. He's
Yep.
built this team.
Yep.
He's let go of any player who he thinks
It's
will
an
not fit
impediment,
in this.
yep.
He's let all of them go. So this is his team. This is his project. And it will be painful when tactically he's the one making the errors, when he's the one making the team so uncomfortable. I think the presence of Kai Havertz in this team is completely unbalancing them. He will not do well as a number 9, not ahead of Gabriel Jesus, not ahead of Nketiah. He will not perform better than Odegaard, not in that number 10 role. Neither will he perform better than Saka or even Martinelli. So you look at it. Maybe if he's been used as to improve the depth of the squad, you can understand where he will be the direct replacement for Odegaard as the manager, you decide to make those changes. But Fulham again did show that under Marco Silva, they are indeed a stubborn team to play against.
Yep.
Look, Mikel Arteta should look at the manner in which Arsenal conceded those 2 goals. The shape of the Arsenal team was tactically very wrong.
Yeah.
And then even on the second goal, at that time, you don't zone mark. You man mark. Who was marking Palhinha? I mean, Palhinha himself who looked at the situation and said, come on, man, wow. He wouldn't believe it.
He'll be shocked at how much space and room he
And
had.
the ball just landed on his feet.
Yeah.
And if you give such players that space, technically, they are so good that they will execute it to perfection. And for me, the goal was a sweet strike, and it gave the goalkeeper no chance. So as it stands, Arsenal look at the game yesterday and say, look, that is 2 points drop. And for me, it cannot happen again. Man City will soon begin to talk about that game, so I'll hold my fire on that.
Well, Arsenal fans, especially on my Twitter, I'll read tweets today. Let me know what you think of Mikel Arteta and his experimenting spree so far. They look like they're in pre-season because he keeps doing things with the team
And
that
look,
don't seem settled.
these were things he didn't do in preseason. So I would have understood him.
Yep.
Or I'll be understanding him if it is preseason and he said, okay, he wants to see how it works. But in preseason, he never did all that we are seeing him do. He never did that. Why then do you come and do it in the main game itself?
We'll see if he can steady this Arsenal ship. Let's get to a ship that looked rocky at the beginning, but United managed to steady that ship. Nottingham Forest came to Old Trafford and nearly caused an upset, but United prevailed 3-2, how that game ended. Spurs are looking good right now under Ange Postecoglou. It was a really good game for them as well. Back-to-back highlights. We'll come in studio and discuss. Come back. This is Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let's start off with that United game. Very unfortunate beginning to that game. 2-0 down in less than 4 minutes.
Yeah. You see, most people said Man United started the game very poorly. I don't think so. Because we did the game on radio. And in the very first minute, United had played on and they had gotten themselves a corner kick. That wasn't a slow start. The problem with that first goal was the fact that the two players that had Tau in between them, that was where the mistake was. In the game of football, you don't allow the attacker to stand horizontally or on the same line in the middle of two defenders. No. Although I understand that it was Rashford and Anthony, naturally they don't have defensive instinct. They don't understand the principles of defending. If Wan-Bissaka was one of them, he would have stood behind Rashford and the player. And once Tau went past Rashford, he would have dealt with it. But United conceded from their own corner kick. So you want to question the positioning. That's what I'm saying, that the marking was very wrong. That wasn't a slow start. And then on the second goal, it was very unfortunate, or the guy who scored the goal was very lucky. The ball just struck him and then dropped into the back of the net. But what every good team will do is to acknowledge the timing and then calm down and start playing some football. That is where I believed Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes in particular became so important yesterday. With Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno Fernandes, they started playing, receiving the ball, passing the ball, showing a bit more belief, showing a bit more patience. And Ten Hag, you could clearly see, stood on the touchline, not showing any emotions, but just telling everybody to calm down and stick to the game plan. Once the game plan got started, it was Old Trafford. It was Nottingham Forest. All United needed to do was to tactically redeem at least a goal before halftime. Once that happened, they had the momentum on their side to go on and believe that they could win it. And look, the second goal, that Casemiro goal, I think this was one from the training ground. They had rehearsed this sort of set pieces.
Very good
I
set
hope our
piece
coaches here in Ghana are watching. Because these are the sort of things when you watch football, you want to imitate. You want to copy, free of charge. Nobody's going to charge you for that. Copy and begin to teach your players some of these things. I hope the quality of our pitches would allow our players to execute them to perfection. Again, United persevere and then went on to what? Win the game. My only problem is that you cannot, or you will not be forgiven if the opposition was different. When I say different, if United were to go 2-0 down against Man City in the place in less than 5 minutes, it would end up being 6. If that were to repeat itself against Liverpool, it would end up being 6. And I'm sure that if that was a Man City or a Liverpool, the players of United themselves would have known deep down within themselves
that we can't come back.
That we can come back, and that is going to make sure it's going to get worse and worse. This Manchester United team look much more balanced in the absence of Mason Mount. This was the midfield trio that thrived last season. Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno Fernandes. But Eriksen, you and I know, physically will not win any battle. Bruno Fernandes' game too is not based on being very physical.
Yeah.
That is why it is so crucial and important that United go in and wrap up the Amrabat deal. Just before coming to the studio, the report coming in that it is looking increasingly likely that Amrabat finally will come home. Once he comes home, the message is clear that he's going to sit alongside Casemiro. That, to me, brings a lot more physicality, a bit more control, where Casemiro will not be so much overly concerned of being at the end of them. Because take it or leave it, he's had more saves than Marcus Rashford, than any of the United front players. He scored, and Rashford hasn't scored yet.
Yeah.
Anthony hasn't scored yet. So Casemiro has scored already. So that tells you the imbalance in the team. There's a striker waiting to join the frame and see whether he can contribute his quota. And I think that this Manchester United team, if they don't bring in 3 more players, and I said 3, there should be Amrabat. Maguire should leave. In Ketia, we did the game yesterday. The message was clear. When Nottingham Forest resorted to the route 1, when I say route 1,
long balls up,
all the big guys up front. When Eric Ten Hag wanted to respond to that, tactically, he should have called on Harry Maguire, who was on the bench. But he didn't do that. He called on Scott McTominay. Maguire is better than McTominay in the air. So that again was a clear signal to the coach that you are surplus to requirement. So the transfer window ends on Friday.
Let me just get a quick thought on you. United have made inquiries from Chelsea on Cucurella, getting him on loan. How do you feel about that?
That is what United has become under the Glazers. To be honest with you, it is not something I'm excited about, but since it is a loan move, because there are 2 left backs who are far better than Cucurella. It is as a result of injury. Once you've got Luke Shaw, and you've got Malacia, and you've got Dallo who can play there. In fact, there was the young chap, Fernandes, but he's been arranged to go out on loan. That is why Man United is trying to bring in Cucurella. He can come and do a seasonal job, but even until if Luke Shaw or Malacia comes back and they are fit, he's relegated to the bench. So I'm not worried because it's a loan deal. You need the personnel there to come in. And I think he understands the Premiership, although his times at Chelsea has not been the best. But if only he can replicate his form at Brighton, who knows? He'll be an
acceptable sign. Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, I'll get some thoughts from Edwin. We have that Liverpool-Newcastle game to come, and then some football from some other leagues as well. A lot more highlights to come on Scorecard. Stay with us. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let's continue. Let's talk about Tottenham Hotspur. They got another 2-0 win. Clean sheet again. Quick thoughts on what's going on with Spurs. They look good so far.
Yeah, they look very good. And we've talked about the importance of several of their players, including Son, including Yves Bissouma. But I think one person I didn't see as being very important or this important to the team is James Maddison. He's coming and he's been a breath of fresh air to that team. It just feels like he's been playing with them forever. And he's just integrated himself into that team so much that you can't see him being taken out for anybody here. He plays with Bissouma pretty well. He's playing with Sarr pretty well. He's linking up with Son pretty well. It's just one player that it's not working out for, and that's Richarlison. And again, we saw him miss a couple of chances, a couple of really good chances that you would expect a striker who cost 50 million, the number 9 for Brazil, to put away. Unfortunately, it's not working out for them. And we heard earlier in the summer about them possibly going for Lukaku. Right now, Lukaku might be on his way to Roma, so there are not many strikers in the world right now who they can go for, but they need someone to challenge for that position. They need someone to compete with Richarlison because he's not getting the goals. And if Spurs are to maintain this form, keep a run going, and possibly seal a place in the top 4, they need a top striker. They need someone who can get them goals on a consistent level. And Harry Kane is not there anymore. Son is not getting the goals. He's not scoring as much as they need. And I feel that that is one part of their game that might cost them this season. Someone who gets them goals.
Well, I'm sure Son knows very well how much his goals mean to Tottenham Hotspur, so he'll get his scoring boots on very soon. Let's get to more highlights. Let's check out Sheffield United versus Manchester City, and then Newcastle United taking on Liverpool. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring you the 2 Liverpool goals. We'll see if we can get back to those goals in a bit there. But, Coach, quick thoughts. Let me start with you on the City game. 2-1, difficult game, still grinding out the win.
That is what champions will do. The belief, you see, they had wasted lots of opportunity in that first half. We all know that when you play against Man City these days, you allow them to have the ball. Because you dare not go toe-to-toe with them. The only team I have seen match Man City toe-to-toe, but for the stupidity at the time of Upamecano, Bayern would have stopped them from winning the Champions League. If you go back to that game at the Etihad, they against Bayern, Bayern was the only team who could go toe-to-toe, and Pep Guardiola himself did admit after the game that he was completely restless because he did not believe Bayern could do that to his team. So if Man City is playing against a team like Sheffield, anywhere in the world, they would dominate. So Sheffield themselves, they had a proper game plan. Let's sit back, let's put men behind the ball. Let's make sure we are very difficult to break down. So that even under that conditions or under these situations, Man City were still creating opportunities, but they were not putting them away. We saw Haaland missed a penalty. It happens, isn't it? And then eventually he scored from a brilliant dink of a cross by Jack Grealish. And for me, that was a proper number 9 instinct. Somebody who understands that, yes, I've missed the first one. I quickly have to put it behind me.
And then keep going.
Keep going. The next one will come and I'll put that away. But look, I credit Sheffield for believing that they could come back into the game. At the time, before they equalized, now for like 75 minutes, they had not have any shot on target.
Nothing.
At all. There was no shot on the Dawson. But all of a sudden, the coach did some 2 substitutions that got them to believe, and they started going forward. And then we saw a bit more instability in the Manchester City defensive setup. Then Sheffield equalized. It is at that stage that you want your players to show that indeed they are playing in the Premier League. Sheffield United equalized in the 86th or 88th minute or so. So what then do? You don't get carried away. At some point in that game, you could clearly see that they would be happy if they were to lose the game by a 0-0. Now, once they did something they least expect to do by equalizing, then they became overly jubilant. The mood from the bench to even the outfield players were too exciting for my liking. This is one of the reasons why I've come to love coaches like Jose. If that was Jose Mourinho's team, he would have quickly reminded everybody that the job is not yet complete. So sober heads, focus on the tasks ahead, and let's make ourselves a bit more difficult to beat. And I'm saying that the Man City second goal was a complete giveaway. Because Man City came on the attack, Sheffield repelled the attack, and the ball went to their player. All he needed to do was to clear the ball, or even if you are attempting to block, make sure you are in between the player and the ball. So if Kyle Walker touches you, you fall on the ball and grab the ball. It's part of the game. It's part of the coaching. Just to relieve the pressure on your teammate, and then we recycle and start the game all over again. But that was so naive on the part of the player. The credit must be given to Man City, because it takes a team that believes that even at that moment, away from home, with less than 2-3 minutes to go, they have what it takes to go and redeem themselves and get the win. And credit must be given, especially in the absence of Pep Guardiola, who didn't sit on the bench today. So the players, you see, psychologically, I'm sure Pep would have told them, if you don't win, people may think because I'm not there, that is why you couldn't beat Sheffield United. And that, I don't think I've built a team that will rely solely on my presence. The chemistry is there. The system is in place. Whether I am there or not,
you must
go
be able to
out
go
there and get a result against Sheffield. And I think it was a wonderful win. But on the Sheffield goal, Kyle Walker behave a bit stupidly.
He was-
Next time,
he was
if I'm the
misbehaving.
boss, he sits down 6 weeks.
Anyway, Liverpool, come back win. I didn't see that coming. Red card in the first half, saw the game out. Darwin Nunez got 2 goals in 2 very close minutes, managing to give Liverpool all 3 points. Meanwhile, he was coming off the bench.
Yeah, and I was saying on Citi FM today that when we're talking about how Liverpool were going to get back into this game, I completely forgot Darwin Nunez was an option on the bench, because that's how his career has gone at Liverpool. He's become forgettable. He became forgettable until today. Today is definitely a game that will improve his confidence,
Yeah.
raise his confidence
Yeah.
a little bit, show people what exactly he can do. Because honestly, everything was against Liverpool. They had gone a man down, gone a goal down. The attacks were flowing towards their goal. And I think Klopp made a decision in the first half by taking off Luis Diaz, who was their most potent attacker in that first half. But he rectified it by bringing on Jota and Elliott to beef up the attack in the second half. And that's helped a lot with Nunes coming in,
Yeah.
Salah playing his usual football. This time, I think he dropped into midfield a lot, taking
Yeah.
defenders with him, allowing Nunes to run into those spaces and take advantage of those chances. But I'm really disappointed with Newcastle and how they approached that second half. You'd expect them to blow Liverpool out of the water, but
Yeah.
once they got into their lead, in the first half, they had a few chances which they failed to take. And in the second half, they got a couple of chances which they failed to take. Then eventually, they started dropping back. You'd expect a team with a man advantage to be on it.
The
really,
man advantage, home advantage, the support, the crowd.
really going at the team. But they started
yeah.
dropping back.
Something struck me with them. They look like a team that they don't want to have possession. It's like if it's not transition play, they don't like
know
it. And
what
if
to
you
do.
have a Joelinton, Tonali, and Guimaraes in the middle, you should be comfortable having the ball.
You should
I
be,
don't
and
know.
it was very disappointing considering the quality, as you said,
Yeah.
they have in the team. This is a team that should be able to take on Liverpool, and a Liverpool team that's down to 10 men and
Exactly.
come out winning. But they were very disappointing, and there are a couple of talking points from the game that we need to go to. Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Let's
being
have
one
the
of them.
Liverpool goals while you continue. No, you should go ahead. Let
Yeah.
me just have the goals on our screen.
Trent Alexander-Arnold, for a defender at your level, for a
Yeah.
professional at your level,
That's the second individual error already this season.
you should be able to control a back pass, no matter how close the player is to you, no matter how much power the pass was hit with. You should be able to control a simple pass. And I think he lost confidence from how Newcastle approached the game. They immediately targeted him because they saw him as the weak point. Asked Gordon to go at him, hit him with
and
your
he
pace.
eventually cracked.
And he eventually cracked. Some might say he probably should have been sent off before then. I don't agree. It would have been really soft. But he's a player who needs to work a lot on his defending. For a right back, he doesn't do a lot of defending very well. And I think the next talking point is the red card for
Virgil van Dijk.
van Dijk. A lot of people have been complaining, but to the letter of the law, that is a red card. He took out Isaac, who was the last man, and then he took him out without getting the ball first. That is a red card. A lot of people have been complaining, saying that it wasn't a violent tackle.
Yeah.
Possibly there was another player who was covering. I don't think so. If you look at the highlights, Isaac was definitely running through on goal. He would have had a shot against Alisson. That is what you clarify as a clear goal-scoring opportunity. If that is not a red card, then I don't
Sending
know.
off for him.
Yeah.
Let's get to 2 other games. Let's get to the Spanish La Liga. Real Madrid Football Club were up again. This time it was a very interesting game. Celta Vigo is who they played, and then there was Barcelona as well, also playing in their own game. So let's get back-to-back highlights of the 2 Spanish giants, and then we'll come back in studio and discuss. So Real Madrid Football Club, Jude Bellingham, I think this is 4 goals in 4 matches. You know
4
what's
in 3.
4 in 3 matches. You know what's crazy?
No.
Eden Hazard scored 4 goals in his whole Real Madrid career. 4 goals. And Bellingham is already on 4 goals as it stands. But coach, what stands out to me the most about Real Madrid is their lack of potency up front. I mean, this can't go on forever.
Not at all. I think if they don't win the league, it will come down to this. I think what Carlo Ancelotti will have to do is to allow Joselu to play a bit more. Let him lead that attack. Because, you see, Bellingham will definitely not be in the position he's found himself in throughout the season.
Especially when you play big teams.
Exactly. The goals will dry out. When those goals from midfield dries out, you need a typical number 9 to be there, who's somebody who is a natural goal scorer, and that is what Joselu brings to the party. I think the fact that they are still waiting on Mbappe, because Joselu has been given just a 1-year contract, a loan from his mother club to Real Madrid. So one would have thought that they should have gone into the market and acquire another number 9, somebody who will at least give them some options to play as a number 9, but we've not gotten that. But hey, they look very solid defensively. In midfield, I think they have the best young midfield talents in the world. If you can put together Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Valverde, Bellingham as a combo, they're more or less the quadruplet. And I think, look, they will go far with the midfield. It's a midfield that guarantees them or that ensures them for the next 10 to 12 years. But having said that, the number 9 issue will come back to haunt them. For Barcelona, clearly, they are not compact enough. Clearly, they are too slow in their build-up. Clearly,
Xavi likes to play a lot of midfield. And I've seen a lot of Barca forums and Barca fans complain about Xavi making his team, I don't know,
too narrow. I think they are too narrow. They are not wide. And I think...
And when he tries to give them width, he sticks Pedri on the left wing. And Pedri is not a winger.
They don't have natural wingers. They are only natural winger. Or they have 2, Rafinha and the French boy who just left, Dembele. So apart from that, he's been forced to play like that. Okay? So I think he will make do with this. Don't forget there's no money. They cannot go into the market and bring players they would like to buy.
Right.
So it is what it is. They should just hope that they will be able to play like this to win it. But look, for the La Liga, I fancy Real Madrid to go all the way and win it.
Let's take more highlights. Let's get to the Italian Serie A. Some action happening. The AC Milan were up against Torino this weekend. And then we'll also have some action from the Bundesliga where Borussia Dortmund managed to hold Bochum held Borussia Dortmund, if I should put it that way. So 2 highlights back-to-back, Serie A and then the Bundesliga. So Chelsea players giving AC Milan some kind of boost over there. It looks like there are quite a number of Chelsea old boys in that mix.
Look, it's good to see Pulisic and Loftus-Cheek enjoying their football again. But I think at Chelsea, their quality was never in doubt.
So 4 of them.
It was about being fit and staying fit. That was the problem. And they never could do that at Chelsea. Maybe in Italy where things are not so physical, they might be able to keep their fitness and stay in form because they are clearly good players. For Dortmund, it's unfortunate to see them drop points so early. Bayern are in really good form. They've added Harry Kane to the mix, so they are definitely a more dangerous side. And you can't afford to drop points just like that. And it's unfortunate to see them do that so early.
Let's finish off with the World Championships in Athletics, Budapest 2023. It finished yesterday. Quite a number of eventful races and events in there. Jamaica, USA, obviously dominating the headlines. We have a mashup of everything that's been happening out there. Enjoy. So Sherika Jackson, Duplantis and co, Rojas and co doing really big things in the championships there. Unfortunately, we don't have time to discuss. Thank you very much, Coach Christopher Nimi. Thank you very much, Edwin Kwakofi. And thank you all out there who sent in messages to the show. We appreciate it. Same time next week, Scorecard will be back on your screens.